Welcome back to another episode of the Draw Control Podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by freshman on the Boston University women's lacrosse team, Izabella Amonte. In her lacrosse career, Isabella, as a senior, received the ISL Award of Excellence, was named to the ISL and NEPSAC All-League teams, was a First Team All-Scholastic selection, captained her team and was named MVP, and as a junior was an ISL Honorable Mention. I'm super excited to have her on today. So, Izzy, welcome to the podcast, and how is everything going?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's going good. Almost spring break, so a little bit of schoolwork, but not bad.
No, not at all. It's always fun when spring break rolls around. Definitely need the rest from the academic
Yeah.
work in the middle of the semester. So, now let's talk about your team, and then we'll sort of get on to about your career and all that fun stuff. So, obviously, at the time of this recording, your team is currently undefeated. So, how has the season been going from your perspective, and just what's your perspective on the team's performance so far this season, and just what you've seen so far?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, obviously, I'm on the sidelines watching due to injury. So I get to kind of see a lot of the behind the scenes and all like teammates subbing in and out and just all that stuff. So it's been good to see everyone kind of work through it and figure out where we are best and how we can best like fight against other teams, honestly. And we kind of have just been taking it game by game. No team's guaranteed a win ever. So that's just been like really fun. And we've had a lot of close games, and that's just been really exciting to watch.
I do want to ask you about that. Obviously, you're on the sidelines, like you mentioned. So, is it good to get a different perspective on the game and sort of have you learned anything about lacrosse this year that you might have not known if you were playing?
Um, I mean, obviously it sucks standing on the sidelines, and I want to be out there and like play with my teammates and have that like kind of different kind of adrenaline rush than I'm getting on the sidelines. But I think like a big part of my role this year, especially, has just been like bringing the energy and being there for my teammates, and like that's just been really fun, like hyping them up and getting them excited and watching them learn and like even just listen to the things that I have to offer has been really great. And like just bouncing things off of each other has been like something that I've really enjoyed, especially this season.
Now, talk to the fans about your injury and when you expect to be back.
Yeah, so I tore my left ACL in the last game of my high school season. It was after conference play. We just always play this one game every year against this one team every year. And it was the first half. I was having a pretty good game. I had like 5 goals in the first half. Was feeling pretty good. And then I just got smoked with contact from all four angles. And I knew right away, I had torn my right ACL my sophomore year of high school. So I kind of knew right away that I had done it. And I didn't feel great, but it's definitely been a different way of entering into college lacrosse, but it's been a good learning experience for sure.
What's this recovery process like compared to the other one? It must be a little bit, I guess, in a weird way, kind of better because you sort of know what to expect and sort of know what it takes to sort of get back to where you need to be.
Yeah, I mean, my first one, I always like tell people, and the girls on my team who are also going through their first one, I'm like, I like understand those bad days, and like, it's definitely a totally different perspective that I've taken on my second one, just knowing the rehab, knowing what I need to do to get back to where I want to be is definitely like very, very helpful. And there's things I wish I knew going through my first time that I know now that have been such a game changer. And obviously, ACL is long. There's nothing you can do about that. And I think that's the hardest like mind game, especially like for me too. Like I go through it. It's like it's 9 months, 9 to a year sometimes, just depending on what goes on. And it's like it's so long, and that's like the hard part. So just taking it step by step, I think, and being there for like my teammates who are going through it has been very helpful for me as well to just kind of be that rock for them. And like, I mean, experience helps, and it's helped me a lot. So just being with other people also helps a lot.
How do you remain positive? Because obviously an ACL injury sort of kind of made your high school career not as long as it should have been, and now it interrupts your start of your college lacrosse career. So I'm just sort of curious how you remain positive throughout all the adversity you've been going through so far in your short career so far.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, my freshman year of high school, we didn't play because of COVID. And then my sophomore year, 4 games in, I tore my right ACL. So I was out for that. I came back February of my junior year. We started in March. I mean, my junior year of high school was like one of my favorite years of high school. Our team was like, we went to the ISL championship. Like, we played with some of the girls who now go to BC, and I just like I learned so much from the class above me. And then senior year was kind of different. I had lost, we had I was the only, me and one other girl were the only not seniors on the field my junior year. So obviously graduating that huge class was a lot, but my senior year I learned a lot about like leadership and how to really keep a program going in the right direction when you lose a lot of girls, which was really a fun task. And like my high school is like growing like rapidly, which I'm like so excited about. So I played my whole senior year, which was great. And then obviously the last game, like I kind of got beat down, and I I guess I kind of just said to myself, like, all right, you have 24 hours to be upset about this and cry and scream and be angry. And then like let's turn it on after that, and let's change my mindset about this, because last time like I was upset, and like what's that going to do about it? So that's kind of been my mindset recently. It's just like I'm not going to go anywhere if I'm not positive, if I'm not pushing myself and surrounding myself with people who also make me feel that way. So just trying to kind of, my mindset was like, all right, you have 24 hours, be upset, be pissed off, and then let's get back to work. Like, let's get back to where we want to be and like get on the field again. So that's kind of been my mindset. And then just like nothing's going to happen if I'm not being positive. So just trying to stay positive even through the hard days.
Now, what's the recovery process actually like? You said it takes 9 months, but I'm curious, like, what are the stages like to get back? And do you plan? I'm assuming you're going to be ready for the fall of next season, I hope.
Yeah. So the first like 3 months are pretty simple. Obviously like the first month you can't walk, like it's tough. Just depending on what you kind of did. So like sometimes if you do your meniscus, you're locked out. If you don't, you're not. So it just kind of depends on each person. So those first 3 months are kind of like slower, like getting flexion and extension back, walking, and then it's like from 3 to 6, we're like picking up the pace a little bit, starting to run, maybe some cutting, a lot of strength. Like when you go into surgery, you come out, your quads are like gone, like every muscle you've ever built up is gone. So like 3 to 6 is just like trying to build that, trying to start to run again a little bit. And then 6 to 9 is what I call like the grind time. It's like the fun time. You get to start to cut and pivot and get really strong and like kind of start to do like non-contact stuff and then like work your way into practice. So that's like kind of the part I like tell my teammates who are going through it. I'm like, just get to 6 months, and then like you're up from there. Like you're gonna start feeling good. You're gonna start to do more. You're gonna feel strong. So like just kind of once you get there, and then like that like 9 month you start to get back in, and then it's like 9 to 12 usually like you're going like 100%, which is a good feeling for sure.
That's good. That's good. Well, obviously, I wish you a speedy recovery. I know that's not easy, especially going through it twice. But I do want to ask you some more questions about the team this season because obviously you have a unique perspective on it. And one question I want to ask you was you have a game against Boston College this Wednesday. Now, by the time this podcast is released, the game will already have happened. But I just want to ask you, how excited is your team to get the opportunity to play a top-ranked team like Boston College? And what does your team hope to gain from this game, regardless of the result, whether it's a win or a loss?
Yeah, I mean, obviously playing another team on ComAv is always exciting, whether that's lacrosse, hockey, whatever sports we have. Like that's always a fun rivalry for us. Um, and for me, a lot of my teammates, like club and high school, go to BC, so that's always fun to have that little competition going on. Um, yeah, obviously we're super excited. I think the opportunity to play a top 5 ranked team is like honestly like it's anyone's game always, and like we always talk about that, and I think that's like a good mindset to have, is like going in, like we might not be as high ranked as them, but like we could have a day and they could have an off day or vice versa. So it's kind of like it's just like that excited feeling to just like get in there, be consistent. I think that's something we're really trying to focus on, is like being consistent and not letting them go on like these long runs that you see them they've had in their last couple games. They've gone on tremendously long scoring runs. So like trying to be able to, once they score, like kind of drop that and let's get the next ball, let's get the next possession and kind of play our game to the best of our ability and see where that kind of takes us.
And what does your team hope to accomplish this season? I guess what are the goals and expectations? Because obviously it seems like from the past couple of years the team has been getting better, and it seems like this is the year for the team to sort of take that step forward and be competing for a Patriot League championship against the top-ranked teams like Loyola, Navy, and Army.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason a lot of my class and the class above me has come to BU. Um, just like the opportunity to grow a program is something that's so exciting. And like our coach went here and she always talks about like when she was here, like they were amazing. And like to kind of get the program back to where it deserves to be is like something that like I think a lot of this team holds like on their shoulders and is like really proud of that. And we're like proud to be able to say that like we are moving this program to someone that people see as a Patriot League champion. So it's like, and possibly like to the national championship level. So it's like just being a part of a program like that is super exciting. And I think that drives a lot of us, which is a really big factor. And I think it really pushes us a lot in practice and in games.
So let's transition now and talk about the beginning of your lacrosse career and sort of work all the way up to where you are today. So you're from Hummerock, Massachusetts. So talk about growing up there and how did you start playing lacrosse? Because obviously you're from a very prominent athletic family, but I'm just curious how you specifically started playing.
Um, yeah, so I don't remember the day I didn't have a stick in my hand. I mean, it was always like that. My older sister, we're like 2.5 years apart. So whatever she was doing, I wanted to do. And I like actually cannot remember a day I didn't have a lacrosse stick in my hand. And from the age I could, I joined my club team, which was like fourth grade. I got right into that because my sister did it. I did my town program. I mostly just jumped into anything that I could in the backyard with my siblings, anything that like allowed me to just compete and learn. I was like really excited about from a very young age. So that's how I would say how I got into it.
And did you have like a favorite player or team that you like to watch the most growing up?
Um, I mean, obviously Northwestern was just like a family thing and like watching them grow into like that big of an empire is like so inspiring. Like taking these girls and bringing them to the national championship 8 times is insane. So getting to kind of be there as a young kid and experience that was super inspiring and just definitely something that I looked up to from like such a young age.
We'll get into some more on Northwestern stories as the podcast progresses, but I want to sort of get to your high school career with Thayer Academy because that's where you played before college lacrosse. So just talk about your time with Thayer and what you took away from it, from on the field perspective, but from an off the field perspective as well. What was it like being a part of that school and sort of getting to play lacrosse there with some incredible players that went on to play Division I lacrosse like yourself?
Yeah, I loved every minute of my Thayer lacrosse experience. Obviously, I grew up watching my sister play there, and she went from a team that honestly I think won maybe 2 games her freshman year, and she took that team and they won the ISL her senior year. So like that was super inspiring to see, and I was always so excited and like so eager to get into the program. And obviously, my freshman year when that got cut short because of COVID, I was devastated. Um, and we obviously still tried to do stuff as a team, but it over Zoom, but it wasn't lacrosse and it wasn't what I had hoped my high school lacrosse season would look like. So when I got to sophomore year and we had kind of had an official team, um, the league was kind of different. We only played within our league and we kind of did double headers. So we'd play a Friday and a Saturday. And that was like, we never did that. We played like a Wednesday, Friday, or Wednesday, Saturday, and it was different teams. But this was like, all right, we're playing Nobles and we're going to play them home Friday and away Saturday. So it kind of felt like we were playing like a professional sport, which was kind of fun and different, but we played the same teams every 3 weeks because of COVID. So we couldn't really branch out. And obviously, there wasn't a lot of lacrosse to watch either on TV or anything. So getting injured my sophomore year, I learned a lot. And I think that's where a lot of my lacrosse IQ came from, is I went to practice in my knee brace every day and I sat there and I watched every game that I could go to. I did everything that I could to just be in the presence of lacrosse. And I think that helped me really develop my IQ. I always knew I was a smart kid, especially in lacrosse, and that's something I know I'm very good at. So growing that my sophomore year, I think was huge developmentally for me. Um, so I only played in 4 games. I don't even remember if I had any point. I think I scored like 1 goal. Um, and then my junior year, I was like so excited. Things were back to normal. The class above me had 11 kids going Division 1 or Division 3. And like that was so awesome to see, is they fought through COVID to get to where they wanted to be. Just the recruiting process was all weird. So they kind of fought through where they wanted to be. But it was also very hard for me because all of my club teammates, a lot of my class teammates were committed. Like I missed everything my sophomore season and my sophomore summers when you get recruited. And I'd miss that. And seeing everyone commit, obviously you're so excited for all your teammates, but like you kind of think like, where would I be if I had that opportunity to play all summer in front of these college coaches? So I kind of went into my junior season with a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove to everyone like I missed this, but like I deserve what you have in a sense. Um, so like I came out my first game. I like made a bet with my coaches. Like one of my coaches who actually works here at BU now, not for the lacrosse team. She works with the hockey team. She was like, when I came back from my first ACL, I scored 3 goals, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna score 4. So I went in, had the best game of my life, scored like 4 goals. Like my team, we played great. It was awesome. Like it felt so good to be back. That was like an amazing season. Just learning from the people above me was great. They were like so knowledgeable, and they're hard. Like I always talk about, like watching those girls like work hard was like nothing I've ever seen before. Like just absolutely dogs like on every play, which was like so good to like be around and compete with. So obviously we had a devastating loss in the championship. It was 9-8, wicked close game, but definitely super fun. And then we graduated those girls and it came to senior year. And I was just really excited to lead the team and be a captain and kind of take on that role of like, all right, we have a lot of really good young girls coming in. Like, what can I do to develop these girls and be the leader that I had for these girls and for this program? And how can we continue to grow? Even though I never won a championship, how can I set these girls up to win a championship? Because that's something that like I've wanted, and that my school and like that I want for that program, because it was honestly like the best thing for me. Um, so yeah, my senior year, I think I just like I had a year, like I showed up for my teammates, and um I just had a lot of confidence, which definitely helped me and I think helped the girls in the classes below me. And hopefully, I mean, they started today, so I can't wait to go and watch them and see how they're doing too.
Do you have like a favorite memory from those days when you look back on it now? Like, is there one that particularly stands out to you, or is it sort of just the whole just time you had there with all the ups and downs that you might have had?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of ups and downs, a lot of laughs and cries, but this is probably going to be a crazy take. I would probably say losing that championship. Um, it was probably one of my favorite moments. Obviously, it was heartbreaking and like devastating, but like scored a really big goal. We came back from like a 4 goal deficit. It was a great lacrosse game. Like it's a game I think about a lot. Like 9-8 is a pretty tight game, and it was back and forth the whole time. Um and I think you learn a lot too from losing. You never want to put yourself in that position ever again. So like as much as it sucked, I learned a lot and I grew a lot. And yeah, that whole season was great. I mean, obviously ending like that sucked, but um, I would say that was definitely like a really fun lacrosse game to participate in.
And how do you think those experiences help prepare you for college lacrosse? I know you haven't played a game yet, but I feel like all the experience that you've had has really set you up to be successful with BU when that time comes when you finally get to step on the field for the first time?
Yeah, for sure. I think facing adversity has made me the person and the player that I am. Because you have like after stuff like this happens, you have to play with confidence and you have to learn to adjust and adapt. And I think that's something that I've become really good at is just being able to turn the corner when something happens and go 100%. So I think that's something that I have learned. And obviously, it's been hard and it's been long and it's not been fun, but I know that I got here through an ACL injury. So, like, one more is only going to make me better and like make me where I need to go and take me places. And um, yeah, I think honestly, like people who face adversity know how to be resilient. And that is definitely something that you need playing college sports. So,
Now, you also played field hockey in high school as well, something I noticed during researching about you, and I'm just curious how that sport helped you in lacrosse.
I had actually never played field hockey before till I got to high school. I played soccer growing up my whole life, and I was not good at soccer. I think that's why I probably quit because I knew I wasn't good enough. Um, So my mom actually played field hockey and she had like begged my sister to play. She never played. So she begged me and I was like, you know what? Let's try it. Like I'm probably better at sports with my hands just from lacrosse anyways. So let's give it a try. And my freshman year, I ended up making varsity. And we were never super good at field hockey or we weren't particularly good. I think my freshman year we won like 2 games. We were pretty bad. Um, but that because I was able to play freshman year before COVID, it kind of gave me that like varsity experience and like prepared me for lacrosse season my sophomore year for sure. And I loved playing field hockey. I still love going to the field hockey games here at BU. I played midfield, which is not what I played. I played attack. But it got me in shape. It like helped me see the field for sure. And it helped me make a bunch of like friendships and stuff that I would never have made just playing lacrosse. And I loved field hockey. It's so fun and it's a totally different game. But I think that's like helps honestly playing two sports helps you grow your IQ in your own and like figure out different things in sports, which is super helpful.
Now, like I mentioned before, it's obviously no secret that you've grown up in a very prominent athletic family. So I did want to ask you some questions about your relationship with some of your family members and how they've sort of shaped you as a person. So the first one is about your older sister, Dylan, who currently plays for Northwestern. What's it like growing up with a sibling that also played lacrosse? And what have you learned from her lacrosse career? And do you guys ever watch each other's games?
Yeah, I've learned more than I can even like give credit to from my sister. Um, like when I was younger, her and my brother used to dress me up in hockey gear and shoot on me. So like I mean, just taking those bullets was fun, but my sister knew what she wanted from like literally the day she was born. She knew she wanted to go to Northwestern and she got there and she did that, which was like so inspiring to me. I mean, I never really had a dream school like she did. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but seeing her chase after something and get what she wanted just simply through like hard work and stuff like that was really inspiring. And then obviously my 4 years of high school, she was in college for all 4 years. So I got to go to a lot of games. I got to watch her. I last year got to watch her win a national championship. I mean, I was on crutches from my ACL, but like I there was nowhere else I would have wanted to be totally honest. And I when I had got hurt, I said to my mom, I was like, I don't know if I can go because I cannot watch lacrosse. And she was like, you're not missing this. Like there's a lot that you learn from someone. And my sister is one of the smartest lacrosse players that I know. She's so consistent. She does the right thing. She's in the right place always at the right time. And so it's been great to watch. And she drags me to the field. She makes me do the stuff that sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do. Or even coming back from my first ACL, she was the person I'd call on a bad day, the person I'd ask for when I had questions. Like we'd watch film, we'd do a lot of stuff together. And she would take me to the field when she would come home for Christmas break and help me dodge on no one and tell me where to shoot and work on things that she was learning. She would bring them home and teach me, which I think was super, super helpful for me. And even though I'm not playing, I get a text from her before I even check my phone after a game saying, we have a lot to talk about. Call me. Just about my games and like she's still watching and supporting, which is a nice feeling. Like even though I'm not out there, she's still supporting me and what I've earned and what I'm working really hard for, which is nice. And obviously, I watch Northwestern. I mean, they're amazing. And I've learned a lot from her. And she lives with Erin Kuykendall, who's, I think, the smartest lacrosse player probably in the country. Um, and just hearing those two go back and forth about lacrosse is like, it's awesome to hear and to learn from. And I text her after her games being like, call me, stop shooting high to high, like texting her all these things. And yeah, we definitely bounce off each other.
Yeah, if I were in a room with your sister and Aaron Kuykendall, I feel like I would have a notebook trying to jot down as many things as I can so I can learn as much as possible. So that's awesome to hear. And great win by them against BC last week. That was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it was awesome. We got to go actually because we were off. So it was nice to see her play in person again.
Now, you have an older brother named Ty who also dealt with some injury adversity. I thought that was pretty interesting to read about, something similar that you guys share. He was dealing with a shoulder injury from what I was reading, specifically with his final year of college hockey with UConn. So I'm just curious if he's helped you with injury recovery process and what was it like watching him play hockey with your brother Tristan at BU? That must have been really cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough things about my older brother Ty. I mean, I think he's the most like he's the strongest person that I like up there on the people that I know. And all through his 4 years, he was battling some sort of injury and he never quit. Like he did it for 6 years because he never quit. And I think that was something that I noticed. And when I was going through my first ACL, he's had six shoulder surgeries just trying to fix it. And I remember on his birthday, I was going through my second ACL. It was January, and his shoulder came out after just having surgery. And he came home, and obviously you're devastated, but I've never seen someone work as hard towards something as he has. Like, we go to the same PT, we go to the same trainers, and like he's in there more than I am, and I think I'm in there a lot. And he's kind of led the way for me in that, finding the right PTs for me and finding people that I can trust to get me through my injury because they've gotten him through his, which has been like super helpful. But obviously it's not easy fighting injury. And I remember he hurt his shoulder again. And I was in the car with my mom on the way to my banquet for lacrosse. And I was like, oh, if I tear my other ACL again, like I don't know what I would do. Like I don't know how Ty does it. And lo and behold, I tore my other ACL. But and you figure a way through it. But um, he's definitely been super inspiring. And we're 7 years apart, so we're not like the closest, I would say, out of me and my siblings. But just watching him, he leads by example, and like he doesn't just talk the talk, like he walks the walk, and that's super super inspiring. And seeing him push through that was great. And also watching him with Tristan is that was really fun. And then when they started playing against each other, like my mom was like having a heart attack, but um, it was so fun to watch.
Now, one more family question, and obviously you have to ask about your aunt and your father. Obviously, your father is Tony Amonte, who's a former NHLer and also played hockey with BU. And then obviously your aunt is the coach of Northwestern, but I'm assuming most people listening to this already knew all that stuff. But I'm just curious, what have they meant to you in your lacrosse career, but also off the field as well? I feel like that might be interesting to sort of hear about just the support they've given you.
I'll start with my aunt. Um, my aunt, especially when I was going through my injuries, was super, super helpful. I mean, I kind of told my sister, I was like, I don't want someone to kind of like recruit for me and put my name out there. Like I wanted to know that I had worked hard and gotten myself to where I'd got through my hard work and through coming back through injury and stuff like that. And my aunt kind of like she understood that, but she stepped in like where she needed to. And she was like, she told me camps I should go to and people I should reach out to. And she was definitely super helpful in that regard. And I also just think she's obviously one of the smartest college coaches. I mean, you see what she's done with that program, and she's really just like turned it. And you can see her brain working all the time about lacrosse, and you can see it, like she's just so smart, and like she's also worked extremely hard to where she is. Just knowing a lot about how my dad and her grew up, I think it's like crazy what they've done and how they've become so successful just through hard work. So yeah, she's been definitely really awesome to look up to. and someone that I can definitely always like know to reach out to if I'm in a pickle. She's always there. My dad is like my sports hero. He's always been so awesome to look up to. He obviously has a lot of stats and stuff to his name, but he's a lot more than that to me, obviously. Like he's my dad. And um, on the days when I thought I was not gonna ever play lacrosse again because I was ready to give up, he knew the right things to say. And I think that's like the best thing about my dad is he always knows when to yell at me and be that stern dad, but he also knows to kind of when he needs to like be there for me and say the right things. And like even now, like when I have hard days here, like he's the first person I text and be like, help me, I'm in my head. And like he always knows the right things to say. And obviously I probably wouldn't be on the lacrosse field like without him or be as mentally tough as I am without him. Obviously there's days where you're like, dad, stop talking, like I hate you right now, but um I have learned so much from my dad, and he's really been there for me as well as my mom. My mom's like the best. um they've both just been there for me. And my mom actually, she played lacrosse at BC, which I don't think a lot of people know. She played for just 1 year, so she kind of gets it. But obviously, like turning to my dad when I need it the most has been, he's always been there, which I think is really has been really beneficial for me.
We'll talk about your recruiting process with Boston University and I guess what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at.
Yeah, obviously family connection, but I had never even considered going to BU to be totally honest. I always thought that I kind of wanted, I never, like I said earlier, I never really had a dream school. I never like was like super set on any school, but I ended up, my aunt was like, come to actually, okay, start over. So my junior year, BU had come to a lot of my games, and a lot of other schools had just come to watch to kind of see. Um, and I didn't even know that they were there till one of the parents was like, "Hey, like the BU coach is here," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And my assistant was like, "Would you ever consider BU?" And I was like, "I mean, I always thought I kind of wanted to go far, but at this point, like I'll consider anything. Like I'm the last person probably in my grade to commit somewhere." So my aunt was like, "Hey, I'm hosting this prospect day. There's going to be tons of coaches, tons of schools that I was looking at. Come." So I signed up. I was actually getting on a plane to go to Vanderbilt that night. So I only went to one day of the camp. And I ended up at a drill that our coach Mort was working at. And she kind of pulled me aside and was like giving me tips. And I said to my mom at the airport later, I was like, I like really loved that coach. Like she was awesome. And so I texted my high school coach and I was like, "Hi, do you know the BU coach?" And she was like, "Here, like reach out. Like she's already reached out to me about you." And I was like, "Perfect." So I reached out. We just started talking. I came on my visit. And honestly, even though I've had my brothers and my dad go here, I had never been on the campus besides for Aganis Arena. So I never really knew anything about the campus. I'd never toured really anything. So when I got here, I was like, I like love it here. And I was just kind of set on it. I was like, yeah, this is the place for me for sure.
Well, that's awesome to hear, and I'm glad it all worked out for you. It seemed like it's probably I've talked to a lot of players for this podcast, but you probably have the craziest story to get to where you are today, which is it's really interesting to hear from your perspective on that.
Yeah, definitely different than most.
So let's transition now to a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where I ask you some non-lacrosse questions to get to know you a little bit more off the field. So first one is, if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Oh, that's a tough question. Just because I'm blonde and I like her, I'm gonna go with Blake Lively. I think she's a great actress.
That's a good choice. I always choose Ryan Reynolds or like Matt McConaughey just because they seem pretty cool. So maybe if Blake Lively ever made a movie about yourself, Ryan Reynolds can play me in the podcast scene. I
Yes.
think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now, what is the most underrated holiday and what's the most overrated holiday?
I think the most underrated holiday is ooh, St. Patrick's Day. I think that's a good holiday. Um, the most overrated holiday, Thanksgiving. Like it's good food, but like it's not anything special.
Ooh, I disagree. I think Thanksgiving's the most underrated holiday just because it's sort of sandwiched in between Halloween and Christmas. So I
That's
feel
true.
like people forget about it, but you don't have any like pressure of like giving gifts to people. You can just go, show up, eat good food, and have a good time. So that's usually why I consider it underrated.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. I love Thanksgiving. Like I love the food and stuff, but like I don't know. I feel like I hear a lot of people say Thanksgiving's their favorite holiday, but maybe that's just as people are getting older, they're
Hmm.
realizing that Thanksgiving. I don't know.
Yeah. Overrated, I think I say New Year's a lot, but I'll go with Halloween just because I feel like if you don't like dressing up, it's not as fun. And then also I feel like once you become older, it's not as fun just because you can't trick or treat anymore. And that's like the best part about it.
Yeah, those are good ones. I'd agree with. I don't really love Halloween.
Now, who has the best off the field style on the BU women's lacrosse team besides yourself?
Ooh. Um, I'm gonna have to go with Quinn Ferry. I feel like Quinn, she knows what she's doing. Like even when she's wearing comfortable clothes, I'm like, you look really fashionable right now. And like even when we dress up for pregame, she always looks nice. So I'm gonna go with Quinn Ferry.
What's the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Actually, IL Woman did a piece on Grace Taylor. I don't know if you've heard of her. She plays at Harvard, but she battled cancer. And I played on the same club team as her. I played against her in high school. And that story was awesome. Like if you get the chance to read it, if anyone listening to this gets the chance to read it, it was really inspiring and it put what I've gone through to shame. And honestly, like she's awesome. And just hearing her story and that was like, it was awesome to read and super inspiring and makes you feel like your problems are very minimum. And she's out there killing it at Harvard now, which is awesome to see.
Oh yeah, I definitely gotta check that out after the this recording. I didn't see or hear about that story at all. So I definitely gotta check that out. I don't know, for me, probably just NHL trade deadline stuff has sort of been what I've been looking at recently. Now, one more non-lacrosse question, which is if you could play any other sport at BU, what would you play?
Women's ice hockey. I've never played hockey, which is shocking to a lot of people that I know, but I've never played. I never grew up playing. I didn't play in high school, but I love the women's ice hockey team here at BU. They're awesome. They're like some of my really good friends here. And I always think I would thrive in hockey, so I'd like to give that a shot.
Yeah. I would go with men's hockey just because again, it's a super cool arena. So
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a lot of fun.